Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. I hope you are well and you're not getting too bored by the international break. We're only a few days into it, still got a long way to go, so I hope you're not too bored right now. We do at least have the football starting up very, very soon. Now, England, of course, in action tomorrow night, and lots of other countries as well as we gear up for the first round of qualifiers for Euro 2020, certainly over here anyway. And yeah, plenty of Arsenal players in action. Fingers crossed they all come back from their various national teams injury-free. That's certainly what Mikel Arteta is thinking right now while he's at London Colney. One player who, of course, is not going on international duty is Takehiro Tomiyasu, with the really bad news confirmed yesterday. The news we were all expecting that he is out for the season with that knee injury that he suffered in the Europa League game. It looked bad at the time. You could tell. You saw the replay when it was slowed down. It was just one of those ones that you're just like, yeah, that's just a horrible stroke of luck, and that's going to be a serious injury. You could just see by the way he went down, by the way the leg got sort of caught under him and his knee hyperextended. You kind of hoped that maybe he would get away with it, but certainly the noises coming out from Arsenal were that it was a bad one, and he was not going to be back anytime soon, as that has now been confirmed. The statement that Arsenal put out said, following his substitution during last Thursday's Europa League match, subsequent assessments have confirmed that Tomiyasu sustained a significant injury to his right knee. Tommy had successful surgery in London on Tuesday and will be ruled out for the remainder of the season. Everyone at the club will now be working hard with Tommy so he can join pre-season training ahead of next season. Interesting line there. Of course, Arsenal haven't confirmed the exact nature of the injury, same with Gabriel Jesus. But that last line there at least suggests that we're not looking at a cruciate ligament. It's probably a medial ligament, very similar to Gabriel Jesus, who of course was out for 3 months with his problem when he had his surgery. But the fact there that they're saying that they're working hard with Tommy to make sure he'll be ready for pre-season training ahead of next season, makes think at least this isn't a cruciate. It's not a 9-month thing. It's more of a 3-month thing, similar to Gabriel Jesus. So it's bad news, obviously, but at least not the worst news, because I'm sure that would have been a fear when the initial incident happened. And I mean, look, it's a big blow to Arsenal. We know he's not a regular starter in the Premier League 11, but he's always one of the first subs to come on. He's a very important squad player, no doubt about it. He is going to be missed. It is a big blow for Arsenal. How big a blow it is or proves to be all kind of depends on what happens over the next 10 games with Ben White. If Ben White can stay fit and healthy, then hopefully it's not going to be an absolute, hammer blow. But if something does happen to Ben White, then Arsenal are in really dangerous territory, because they don't really have any natural right back cover. Saliba's played there for France. I mean, you could probably move Kieran Tierney over there and he would do a job, even though he's left-footed. But I think everyone just needs to keep their fingers crossed now and sort of pray that nothing happens to Ben White. It's not dissimilar really to what, if there was an injury to Zinchenko, then basically Arsenal have only really got Tierney over there. So it's not the case that Arsenal have been caught short at right back. It's just the way with a relatively small squad, you can't cope with too many injuries. And it's a blow for Tommy. I've seen loads of people on my social media going, "Oh, we've got to get him out, give up on him, too injury prone," and all that. I think that's really harsh. He's not really had too many injuries this season, and this was just one of those. It could have happened to anyone. It was just one of those things when you get your foot caught in the turf, your leg goes one way, your knee goes the other, and you see it all the time. And I don't think this is anything to do with Tomiyasu being injury prone. He's just really, really unlucky in that situation for it to happen to him. And he's a really important player in this Arsenal squad. He's really well appreciated. He can play right back, left back, centre back if needed. I don't think this is any way or any reason for Arsenal to give up on Tomiyasu like I've seen a lot of people. And again, I don't want to put too much into social media, and I always get caught up in that, and I shouldn't. I think it's because I have to deal with it all day, every day. I know that's not what everyone thinks or what the majority thinks. It's just different. You sort of hear the negative voices the loudest when you spend a lot of time on social media like I do. So I'm sure everyone doesn't think like that, but I've certainly had a lot of comments on it, and I just think it just feels a little bit harsh, And I don't think that Tomiyasu can't be blamed for being injury prone for this injury. It was just a freak accident that could have happened to anyone, and unfortunately it happened to him. And Arsenal are now going to have to deal with the consequences between now and the end of the season. Fingers crossed, like I said, nothing will happen to Ben White. The good thing for Arsenal is, of course, Ben White isn't away on international duty at the moment, so he's at London Colney. He can sort of chill for the next couple of weeks, just do some training and just wrap himself up in cotton wool, really, for the next 10 games, because we don't want anything to be happening to Ben White. So yeah, bad news for him. I don't know what's going on with Saliba yet. I can't tell you, unfortunately. It's not been announced. There's not really any noises coming out from Arsenal about it, so we'll have to wait and see with Saliba exactly the extent of this injury. Fingers crossed it's nothing like Ben White. I don't think it is, but Tomiyasu. I don't think it is, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what Arsenal confirm when it does come to Saliba. Elsewhere, Folarin Balogun has been talking after his fantastic season so far in France. 17 goals for Balogun, only 2 behind Kylian Mbappe in the race for the top scorer in Ligue 1, having a fantastic season for Reims and doing everything that Arsenal would have wanted him to do and more, I would suggest, when they decided to send him to France last summer. I don't think anyone would have expected him to sort of hit the numbers that he has this season. He's been doing the rounds, talking to the media. He's been sitting down with Sky Sports, and he was asked, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, we were all at London Colney, and we asked Mikel about Balogun and his form, and Mikel was very full of praise for what Balogun's done. I think he called it incredible. The numbers were incredible, and praised him a lot. And Balogun was asked about those comments from Mikel and the fact that Mikel's keeping a close eye on what he's doing, and he said it's really positive that he could say these things. I mean, I'm sure we'll speak at the end of the season. We'll have a lot of things to discuss, but it's nice that he's watching and paying attention to what's going on. He was talking about his future and what could potentially happen in the summer. I've spoken about it before. I think it's a big decision for everyone when it comes to Balogun in the summer. Just what do Arsenal do? Do you keep him? Do you integrate him into the squad? If you do, are you going to really be able to give him the sort of game time that he needs? Or do you send him out on loan, potentially to a Premier League club this time, see how he gets on in the Premier League? Or do you take advantage of this fantastic season he's having, decide that you might not get a better price for him and sell? Because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of interest in Balogun, and clubs queuing up to have a look at him. He's young, he's impressive, he's had this good season. His value is going to be very, very high at the end of the season. He's got a contract until 2025, I think. The longer you go, the closer you get to the end of that contract, the less money you're going to get from him. So it's a big decision for Arsenal in terms of what they are going to do. And it's going to be intriguing to see exactly what they come out with. He said there's discussions that need to take place. It's not a decision that will only be with me. The club will let me know their point of view, and I'm sure we'll come to an agreement. I think maybe with Balogun, the best step, because I think it's 2025 with an option to 26, I think, and that's just off the top of my head, so don't hold me to that in terms of his contract. But I think the best thing for Arsenal to do, if possible, and this is just hypothetical speaking because I have no idea if it will happen, but if they could get Balogun to sign another new contract now and then send him out on loan to a Premier League club next season to see what he can do in the Premier League and then take a final decision on him, I think it would be a good decision with Balogun. I wouldn't be against selling him, and I know that's not harsh, but I know some people will disagree with that, but I just also think at some point you've got to sell well. Arsenal have been rubbish at selling for a long time. And you've got to look at this and think, is this a sort of Joe Willock situation where he's just had this amazing run of form? Shall we take advantage of this and get as much money for him now as we potentially could ever make and invest that money elsewhere? So if someone comes in with silly money for Balogun, then I think that's something Arsenal will have to consider. Because I just look at next season and think, how often is he going to play? I'm not sure if he's going to play that often. If he sticks around at Arsenal, doesn't play too much, just gets the occasional minute, his value's going to drop. I'm not sure that's going to do anyone any good. So it's a big decision to make for all parties for Balogun. But it's a good position for Arsenal to be in. Let's put it that way. This loan spell has been absolutely fantastic, and it gives them a lot of sort of potential ideas or that they could come up with when it comes to Balogun's future direction. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what it goes into summer. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think? Should he come back next season? Should he get a chance? Do you sort of move Balogun ahead of Eddie Nketiah in the pecking order? What do you do? What do you sell? If someone comes in with 30 million, 35 million even, do you sell Balogun? Let me know in the comments below. Elsewhere, the MLS All-Star game was announced yesterday. Arsenal going to be taking part in that in the summer, which should be a very fun occasion over in the United States. Wayne Rooney's going to be the manager for the MLS All-Stars. It's going to take place in Florida, I think, at Audi Field on Wednesday, July 19. Edu said, our match against MLS All-Stars in July is a great opportunity for Mikel and the squad to prepare ahead of the new season, facing strong opposition. We're currently working on our pre-season plans and we look forward to announcing further details soon. Arsenal had a really good trip in the US last summer. They loved it. Arteta loved it. A lot of the good things that have happened this season you can trace back to pre-season and what went on there and how well sort of planned it was, and I'm sure Mikel will be looking to repeat that trick in the summer. And yeah, this will be a good start over there. Always a good game, the MLS All-Star match. Arsenal been involved in it before. I was looking at the team that was involved last time Arsenal played in the MLS All-Star game. I think you had Matteo Debuchy starting, you had Petr Cech, Christian Bielik, I think. There's some real names in there who were involved in that. Be very, very different this time around, but that will be a good occasion for everyone. Arsenal got so many fans in the States. I'm sure plenty of you watching this video will be hoping to potentially make your way to that one. Erling Haaland, the injury to Erling Haaland that we've all heard a lot about in the last 24 hours. If you haven't heard about it, he has, of course, dropped out of the Norway squad for their two Euro 2020 qualifiers. The Norway team doctor, Ola Sand, said after doing tests and examinations, it became clear that he will not make it for the games against Spain and Georgia. It is better that he receives medical follow-up at his club. I'm sure you, like me, all thought the exact same thing there. Thought, oh yeah, nice one, Pep. Get Haaland a couple of weeks off before the season running. I'm sure we're all expecting Haaland to be fit and available for City's game immediately after international break, which is Liverpool, I think, at the Etihad. I think we'll all be very, very surprised if this injury is anything more severe that potentially keeps him out of that one. Martin Odegaard, of course, has gone over with Norway, so he'll be on his own. Odegaard's there, Haaland's not. And fingers crossed nothing happens to Martin Odegaard. But yeah, you certainly... Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, we don't really know what happens. And you'd imagine Norway would very much want Haaland involved. So their doctors would have given him a pretty firm examination on this injury. But the person in me who's seen this happen all too frequently with other clubs makes me think, yeah, this is probably City pulling a bit of a fast one. But again, I'm sure Norway will disagree completely, and their medical staff will disagree completely with me on that one. Arsenal women losing last night 1-0 to Bayern in their Champions League quarter final. Very, very close game. Chances at both ends in that one. Bayern eventually winning it by the odd goal. Certainly the tie is very much still alive ahead of the return leg at the Emirates next week. Jonas, speaking afterwards, not too happy. There was a couple of penalty decisions that didn't go Arsenal's way. They had a couple efforts cleared off the line. Williamson's header, really good clearance that to keep out Williamson's header on the line. Arsenal easily could have got something out of that game. Probably deserved definitely to get something out of that game. Jonas, speaking afterwards, says, part of me are proud because I think the performance was really strong. Part of me is angry because VAR was not working. It must have been someone not looking at the pictures because clearly it's penalty situations, 2 of them. That's unacceptable. So Jonas not happy with what the officials sort of were doing in that game, but still very much to play for at the Emirates next week and set up for a really loud, noisy, atmospheric encounter. Lots of fans there, and a game very much still on a knife edge. So get yourself down to the Emirates if you want to watch that next week. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Everything you've agreed with, disagreed with in this video, let me know about Balogun, about what your thoughts on Tomiyasu's injury, anything like that. If you're going to the States, if you're in the States, you're looking forward to the MLS All-Stars game in the summer. Anything you want to talk about, any questions, any news, views, opinions, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.